Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For this session, we will start with chapter 23, communication with other health professions. So, our objective that we will cover during this session, we will identify the communication barriers in a professional relationship. Then we will describe the method of handling conflict through the interpersonal negotiation. Then describe the method of communication effectively in organizational setting. Then discuss the application of research study in clinical practice. So those are the objectives that we will cover. So about conflict and conflict resolution. In most workplace, conflict can occur between the group that they are communicating with other, regardless to their professions. And in healthcare setting, the conflict occurs between the nurses and the authority, the agency, the policy. So there are many kind of conflict that might happen in the healthcare setting. Conflict can occur also between the nurses and other health professions. Because mostly the nurses are the connecting point or the focal point for communication with the client and the other health professions, because they are mostly spending most of the time with the client other than other healthcare provider. So because of that conflict, mostly it is happening between the nurses and the others. Many principles of conflict management can be used. You have to identify the source of the conflict always, and set a goal for primary goal to find a higher quality and mutually accepted solution. So always we have to try to find a mutual accepted solution for everyone, to have a win-win strategies, not to have a win-lose strategy. So because we are all together, we are working for toward a goal to be achieved, and toward a better healthcare for our client. So our objective, it should our direction, it should be toward that side. So interpersonal source of conflict in the workplace, barriers to collaborate and communicate. Different expectation, it will create a conflict. So being asked to do something would be irresponsible or unsafe to do it. So in this case, if you are irresponsible for doing that thing, or it is unsafe to do it, also it will create, when you ask to do it, it will create a conflict between you and the one who are asking you to do that. Having your feeling or opinion ridiculed or discounted when you are giving your opinion and no one is listening to you, also it will make conflict and anxiety. Getting pressure to give more time or attention than you are able to give, working for a long period of time or more than the usual working hour. Being asked to give more information than you feel that it is comfortable to share it. Also, difference in language, it will create conflict. The second type, which is due to threatened self. Maintaining a sense of self in the face of hostility or sexual harassment. If you are a victim of sexual harassment sometimes, being asked to do something to a client that is in conflict with your personal, professional, normal values. If you are asked to do something which is not within your professional values, or it is not from related to your professions. Difference in role hierarchy, also it will create problems. difference in education and experience, difference in responsibility and rewards and payment for staff and for other health workers also. Clinical situation constraint also, which emphasize on decision making, rapid decision making is made, complexity of care intervention. If you are working in a high intensive care unit, and always there is complex care and intervention that you have to do. Conflict resolution continuum also always you have to identify your goals. Remember, the issue is the conflict, not your worker. So it is not a personal thing, it is the issue that it made the conflict. It is not the person who are or you have the conflict with him. It is the issue. So discuss always the issue. Don't make it personal. Obtain factual data also for that. Intermittent or early meeting periodically, it will prevent the conflict. When we are always in touch, when we are doing meeting, when we are revising our work, when we are revising our plan, when we are revising our communication strategies, all of this, it will minimize the conflict. A standard format developed by Nelson and Mann for conflict resolution, which is you have to describe the behavior that make the conflict. Express your concern about that behavior. Why you are concerned about that behavior? What that behavior why it is make you anxious, or it may be viewed as a conflict. Specify the course of action, what you can do and what can be done in order to overcome that conflict. Then obtain consensus between you and the other party. So a mutual solution. Avoiding barriers to resolution, so strategies to turn conflict into collaboration. Always we have to try to turn the conflict to a positive manner and to a collaboration rather than being a conflict and stress. Recognize and confront disruptive behavior. So if disruptive behavior happens, so you have to recognize that disruptive behavior and also confront it. Use conflict resolution strategies for that. Take the initiative to discuss the problem. So don't hide it, don't delay it. Use active listening skill. Refrain from the simultaneous activities that interrupt the communication. Present any document or data relevant to that issues that will support you. Propose resolution for that. Always come with a resolution or with a solution for that issues. Use a brief summary to provide a feedback for that event. Record all decision in written. It has to be written, and in order to refer to it later if it is needed. Create a clear climate in which participants view negotiation as collaborative effort rather than conflict. Develop agency behavior policies. So in each agency there should be a behavior policy. If this behavior is happened, so what is the action? with a stated zero tolerance for disruptive or bullying behavior. Model communication with staff in respectful and courteous manners. So always when you're dealing with others, deal with them in a respectful way. Participate in organizational interdisciplinary group work. Solicit and give feedback on regular periodic basis for others. Clarify role expectation for others. So everyone has to have a role description or job description, and that will maintain the knowledge of the person on what is expected from him and what is expected from others. Physician and nurse conflict resolution. Described by Siago in 2008 as a game between the nurse and the physician. The nurse, he said that nurses made a treatment recommendation without appearing to do so. So because you know that the nurses, they are having more time with the client. They are observing all the changes, all the signs and symptoms, all the complaints that the patient is having. Then they might recommend a plan of care from the physician, but it is not shown that they are recommending. And a physician also is asking the recommendation without appearing to do so for that. So the climate of feeling free to ask a question, decision for the senior will prevent conflict. Cooperation, it is needed. Cooperation is needed for that. The line of also between the work and cooperative work, it has to be clear. So, gender and also historical communication about physician and the nurse communication process change as the nurses are becoming now more empowered and more assertive and better educated. Because previously, if we are taking it 2,000 to 100 years ago, most of the nurses were with a little education, and they were helping the physician to do their care. But now they are fully educated. Some of them, they are having PhD, and they are not having the knowledge. They are empowered also. They are having the power in their unit that they are taking care of it. So the things are changing. Conflict arises from difference in power, and might be the physician in some way, in some institution, they may consider as having more power than other health professionals and other nurses. Respective perspectives, education, payment also, it will make a conflict, because maybe that people are doing the same job, but there are different category of payment. Or some who are doing a less job, also they are paid more than the one who are doing most of the job. Status, class and gender also. Some physician and nurse relationship marked with conflict, mistrust sometimes, and disrespect. So always we have to maintain the respect, we have to maintain the trust, we have to trust each other, we have to respect each other, in order to avoid the conflict. Nurse-to-nurse conflict resolution. In the conflict management, obviously this lead to in innovative solution and improve relationship. Negotiation with nurse authority figuring it will managing the nursing staff problem has to be managed. Collaborating with the peer will be helpful. Delegation or supervising of unlicensed personnel. Yes, there are sometimes unlicensed personnel who are helping the nurses, like the medical order. Sometimes they are doing some activities which considered from the nursing activities, but the responsibility it will not come on them. It will come on the nurse that delegate the activity to them. So advocate also to avoid conflict in delegation. Clearly state your expectation. You have to clearly state your expectation. It is your responsibility that care was given correctly. So if you are responsible about the care and delegate some kind of care to others, it is your responsibility and you have to follow the performance of others. Strategies to remove barriers to communication with other health professionals. We have to convey always respect is the first thing that you have to convey always. If we are respecting other, we expect that other will respect us and the work it will go more smoothly. Clarify communication. We have to make a clear communication with them. We have to be clear always, not to use a hidden communication. Use conflict resolution to put down and destructive criticism. So we have to use to resolve any problems and conflict and avoid putting down anyone and destructive criticism. Always the criticism might be, it has to be there when something done improperly, but it has to be in a positive way. How it will be in a positive way? Positive way with respect, with also when it is private, when it is not in front of others, this will be more accepted. Use conflict resolution to put down and destructive circumstances. We have putting down the speaker is feeling inadequate here and he will feel that he is under threat. Response depends on time, place, and how it is delivered. The way that it is delivered, the time and the place, is it under privacy, is it in front of others who were there, so it depends upon that. In front, if it is in front of other, it leads to defensive or embarrassment. So either you will be defensive or you will feel embarrassed and shy. In a private, it represents learning responsibilities and learning response and experience, and the effect of it will be less on the and it will be a constructive rather than destructive. Steps in to promote the conflict resolution among healthcare workers. First, we have to set the strategies to collaborate communication. It has to be under privacy, meeting with the privacy, the private room, bringing together all the involved people and discuss the issue, acknowledge the conflict problem. So the discussion, it is the conflict problem, not the persons. Then maintain respectful, non-punitive atmosphere. Solicit the perspective of each and define the problem issue clearly. Respect the values and dignity of all parties. A group member can also be assertive but not manipulated toward one side. Remember to criticize idea but not the people. So we are discussing the idea and criticizing the idea but not the people or the person. About the discussion here, the third step, identify the conflict key point, then have the objective or goal clearly in mind, discuss the solution, identify the merits and drawbacks of each solution. So each solution, it might have drawbacks, might have an outward effect, so we have to discuss it. If we did that, what is the negative point that might be there in order to avoid it? Be open to alternative. So don't make only one solution and without, you always try to find alternative. If we can't do this, we can do the other thing. The alternative solution in which all parties can meet essential needs. Depersonalize the conflict situation. Always avoid personalizing the conflict situation and discuss the issue rather than the person. Avoid emotion also. The fourth thing, decide to implement the best solution. So specify the person responsibility for implementing or that solution, and role clarity should be there. Establish timeline for application of that. Decide on the evaluation method, how it can be evaluated and when it has to be evaluated. Emphasize the common goal in our shared values of equality of client care. Emphasize also shared responsibility for the team success. So if we are avoiding conflict, if we are resolving conflict, in this case it is success for all the team, not for one. What will happen to you if someone putting you down? I think it is not easy to be put down. It will make you anxious. So process of responding. So how you can respond in if someone put you down. Address the objectionable or destructive behavior first. So you have to address the statement. State the behavior and its impact on you. What is the situation that make you feel that you are put down? Emphasize the specific of the putting down behavior. Refer only to the behavior identified and avoid also taking it personally. Prepare a few standard responses. I think it was out of line for you to criticize me in front of other clients. So it might be this statement that you can say to the supervisor or to other who put you down. I found you comments very disturbing and insensitive. So after that you have to discuss it with that. About constructive criticism. Always we have to go toward constructive rather than destructive criticism. Criticism is always there. So steps in giving, express sympathy. Like in case of if someone is delayed at attending the shift or the working hours, so you can say, I understand that things are different at your home. Because of that, it might lead to being late. Describe the behavior, the statement. But I see that you have been late coming to the work 3 times during this payment period or during this month. So state the expectation. What do you expect from that nurse or that worker? It is necessary for you to be here on time from now and on. So we expect that he will be on time after that warning or that verbal warning. List the consequence if he is not coming on time after that. So sample, if you get here on time, you will all start off the shift better. So we start properly, we'll give the care better, and if you are late again, I will have to report you to the personal department. So this consequence that might happen, and there might be cut of salary, there might be warning letter, or whatever the policy is there. Step in receiving. Listen and paraphrase. If unclear, ask specific example. You are saying being late is not acceptable. So, mean that you understand what is the problem. Acknowledge. You are taking suggestion seriously. You are taking. So, I hear what you are saying. Give your side by stating supportive facts without being defensive. Simple comment. My car would not start because of that. I came late, but here we have to find a solution, develop a plan for the future, what I can do. So with this pie check, I will repair my car. Until that, I will ask Mary or other staff or other for a ride, and they will pick me to the working area until I repair my car. So, how to handle, criticize constructively, schedule time when you are calm. So you have to be calm, not when you are anxious. Discuss it after being calm. Requisite privacy. So you can ask them the other one who that you have conflict with him to come in a private place or a private room, so no one can hear what you are discussing. Diffuse personal anxiety. Avoid anxiety. Listen carefully. That paraphrase criticizing. Acknowledge that the suggestion for the improvement will be taken seriously. So for that issues, discuss the fact or about avoid being defensive, and develop a plan for improvement. You have to develop a plan for improvement and avoiding those conflicts. Dealing with incident, use peer negotiation to solve that incident. Develop support system using group processes. It can be through group processes and group discussion. And understand the organizational system. We have to understand the organization system and how it works. Document and use the complaints procedure to report the incidents. Behavior that create anger to other. There are many behaviors that might create anger to other that we have to avoid them. Provide unsolicited advice, which might create anger. Conveying ideas that try to create guilt on others. Also, it will create the anger. Offering offering reassurance that are not realistic. So if we are reassure the person, but our reassurance it's not a realistic one, when they discover that it is not realistic, in this case, they will anger, and also it will affect the other, they will not believe us later. Communicating using gloss it over or positive comments, glossing it over, or speaking in a way that show you don't not understand your client point of view. When you are speaking in a way that it shows that you did not understand the other party, either the client or the other health professionals. Exerting too much pressure to make a person changing their unhealthy behavior. When you are exerting too much pressure on them. Placing blame, speaking in a causing tone or high tone. Portraying self as infallible expert. When you show yourself that you are the one who know everything, you are the expert, and the other don't know anything about this experience. Using excessively histrionic language or sarcastic rhetorics. Using an authorization tone, using authorities as speaking from a higher authorities, using your authorities in dealing with the issues rather than the mutual negotiation. Using hot button words that have heavy emotional continuation on or impact on the others. So we have to avoid them. About evidence, there are one research which is done on the Canadian hospital. It takes 37 staff administrative nurses. It involves analysis of the content of a small decision group. So the application to your clinical practice, each of us as a nurse could make an effort to combine their positive behavior to make our colleagues feeling respect. So the result it was the concept common to all group include respected nurse have their opinion listened to attentively. So all the nurses, they mentioned that they want someone the authority to listen to their opinion attentively, and they are giving a feedback as the value of their work contribution. It has to be recognition for their work and make them feeling good, empowered, and appreciated. So that it will give the feeling for the nurse to be empowered and appreciated. Lack of respect was described as getting little appreciation, having your opinion discounted, and being patronized or belted. This made them feeling intimidated, demoralized, angered, and insecure. Thank you for listening, and this is the end of the session. Thank you.